This is question 2. How did your media products represent particular social groups? And I'm joined here with our actress for the piece, Hannah Lacey, and we're going to have a discussion about the representation of particular social groups in the piece. Okay, so after watching the piece, what are your views on the representation of women in the sequence?
Well, in my performance, I wanted to go against the kind of stereotype of women being the victim. I did this by basically making my character very disturbed and brutal, even at a young age.
Okay, well, to add to that, I'd say yes, the representation for women in the piece is quite unconventional because women are typically like victims in thriller narratives. So to see you being a brutal, fierce female is quite unconventional for the piece. And I think that the concept of corruption and loss of innocence is also emphasised through the female portrayal, because if it was like a young boy, I don't think it'd have the same impact as a young girl, because young girls are usually preyed upon in society. They're usually victimised way more than young boys.
They're praised for their youth and innocence.
So I think we especially captured that through your costume, because I know you had a white t-shirt and a floral dress, so with lots of pastel colours, so this kind of emphasised your innocence and the kind of feminine, harmless. And like there's also connotations of females being weak, so it's also like referring back to that again. And I also think that the contrast in your appearance and your mental state is quite striking, so it is quite a large difference in like how the audience see you first of all, and then how they see you unravel into this kind of deranged person who's quite violent. And
their first views on me would probably be, oh, it's just an innocent girl, they're probably harmless.
So I think in the piece you're challenging the social norms and stereotypes as you're like portraying this threatening figure who's quite violent and manic, and I think it's also your actions, so you're really violent, which is kind of a masculine trait to have. So for representation of females, you're going against all the social norms associated with women, so you're violent and you've also got this streak in you that's quite dominating in the piece.
Definitely.
But then again, despite this, the other victim that I play briefly as I walk away and you're stalking me, as I'm female as well, it could be kind of showing the two different types of females in society. So you can
huge contrast.
I mean, it kind of humanises you to not be one particular social norm. You can be dominating and violent, but you can also be victimised. Just because you're female doesn't mean like you're one or the other.
Also, it kind of opens your eyes as I'm a young, innocent-looking person, and obviously you're almost an adult. So it's like you being the victim is very like uncommon.
I also think that so. During your performance, were there any aspects you wanted to emphasise or play down concerning representation?
I wanted to emphasise the kind of psychological side of it. I did this like by twitching and smiling at the same time. Kind of bringing out the dark side.
I think in your performance as well, like as we use lots of extreme close-ups, which are quite conventional to thriller pieces, it kind of captured all the details in your face and your expression. So as you were twitching and smiling, kind of grimacing at the camera, it kind of emphasised your psychological downfall, how you're kind of unravelling as you're like destroying these teddy bears and you're becoming a bit more insane in every shot.
It's kind of contrasting because it's quite disturbing. And I think the facial expressions really bring that out. As that's not common for other people to do. You wouldn't walk in the street and see someone twitching and smiling and staring. That would be quite shocking if you did, especially coming from a little girl.
So it's kind of emphasising that psychological element with it. So also I think you played up the feminine side as well through costume, and also like with the props as well, because the teddy bears in particular, so teddy bears and like China dolls, they can be associated with females and young females, and I think with those toys and with those props, you kind of destroying them plays up that destruction of innocence. So it's emphasising how like you are like a young girl, but you've also got this psychological element which causes you to destroy your toys that people like have emotional attachments
almost
to.
Destroying my childhood in a very disturbing and slightly insane type of way.
In your opinion, do you think that the representation of the mentally ill in this piece is conventional or unconventional?
I'd say it's unconventional because in reality, people from our age group are normally considered to have mild cases of anxiety and depression, and that's not normally considered to be dangerous to the public. It's just obviously they inflict it on themselves instead of other people.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. So your representation of the mentally ill in this piece is quite unconventional in the sense that audiences of our age group would view young people as typically having depression, anxiety, and I think this is emphasised in the media, where like social media kind of making it very known to us that these cases do exist and are very common. So exaggerated and extreme cases of mental illness is quite unconventional to see in a young person. I'd have to agree.
I would have to say it's conventional in fiction cases, as in the film Psycho. I mean, the main guy in it has a case of schizophrenia, but that has been made exaggerated like a lot, considering people with schizophrenia just have split personality. But in his case, it's been made to scare people, and obviously people don't really understand that, don't understand the illness itself, and so get shocked or scared, and if they meet anyone who actually does have a case of schizophrenia, they're instantly going to be frightened, and they're going to think that their life is in danger when it's really not. It's just the film trying to make you scared.
Yeah. So in that case, representation of the mentally ill in fictional pieces and in thrillers is quite negative, you'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd have to agree. So, yeah, in cases in films such as Psycho, the person with the mental illness, their capabilities are quite threatening, and they are perceived to be this
dangerous figure.
Yeah, this dangerous figure that inflicts their mental illness on society, whereas in reality, that's not necessarily the case.
No.
But then again, it is a psychological thriller, and
that's what the director is trying to do.
Yeah, the people that make the film ultimately want to scare the audience, and they want them to make them feel threatened and insecure and worried about what they're seeing on the screen. Basically. Yeah, I'd have to agree. But I think the way we represented your mental illness in the film, well, in the piece, is quite subtle. So the use of editing, so very quick cuts to black to create flickering effects, time lapses, and also like the mise en scène, so the appearance of blood in the teddy bears, that was quite a shocking thing to see, and also the bruising on your face that appears later in the piece. All of those micro techniques, they subtly introduce your mental illness, and then as the piece progresses, it kind of emphasises it more and more. And also, like, the music builds up tension.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very subtle representation of your mental illness without being too bold in your face and offensive.
Yeah.
So in that case, as it is a thriller and we're trying to scare the audience, we're using mental illness to kind of make them feel concerned and kind of unsteady about what you're capable of. And I think that's emphasised with like your gender and your age. But ultimately, these elements are introduced subtly through camera work.
Yeah. Also, I feel like we've linked the idea of depression and anxiety in it. As I said before, it's self-inflicted. And as I'm abusing and kind of destroying this teddy bear in quite a disturbing way, it's like it's almost being inflicted on myself by bringing up bruises.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite a psychological thriller, especially for our age, considering they haven't really thought about that idea. So it's kind of like mixing the two together. So I'd say it's shocking, but subtle.
Yeah, it's very. Yeah, I'd say it's very subtle.
People our age are used to seeing videos of abuse and, like, obviously, you know, things that people do to themselves when they're in this state of mind.
Yeah.
So, in that way, I feel like it's quite subtle. But then, obviously, to adults and the older generation, they're not used to that, as they didn't have as much social media. So I think in that case, it's, you know, shocking and you wouldn't really expect that, especially coming from a young, innocent-looking child.
Yeah, and I also think the way that we present this mental instability, it's quite ambiguous. Like we don't say like with the lack of dialogue we use, and it's all like non-diegetic music. I'd say it's quite ambiguous, so the audience don't know exactly what mental illness this is. Yeah. So in that case, it's quite a broad topic without kind of getting into the nitty-gritties of it.
Yeah, it kind of makes the audience kind of open-minded as to maybe what's wrong with the character. As I think if we included dialogue in the whole scenario and scene, it could come across as offensive.
Yeah.
As they might like say that they have schizophrenia, or make it obvious that they have a certain mental illness.
Yeah, it kind of isolates the audience when we kind of who have that illness.
When we opened up ideas to different mental illnesses, but still keeping that disturbing kind of image.
Yeah.
So it's not offending anyone who actually has an illness by, you know, pointing out that group and making them a stereotype.
Yeah.
And making them dangerous to the public when they're not.
I'd have to agree. So that concludes my answer for question 2. Thank you very much for joining me in discussing the representation of social groups in the product. Thank you.
You're welcome.